Let's go with this one.
Are you ready? You think you can tell us what to do? You think you can tell us what to wear? You think that you're better? Well, you better get ready. Bow to the masters. Break the wall!
Welcome to Let Me Tell You Something, Brother. This is the show for the ultimate sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. Join Tim and Tom and learn the ins, outs, storylines, talent of each platform. I'm a WWE junkie, though. I gotta be honest. Right? Let me tell you something, Brother airs every second and fourth Tuesday. This happens to be the fourth Tuesday. That's why it's airing right here, 7:15 p.m. And again, brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at the Santos Agency Health Markets right on Green Street and Tom's Productions. Guys, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a lot has happened.
A lot has happened.
Yeah, it's been kind of good.
It's like, where do we even begin? I mean, since our last show, we had Tony Khan. He purchased Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah, it did happen.
The death of the legendary Scott Hall, Razor Ramon,
Right up
Uzi
there.
Machismo. Trying to do my little tribute for him today as best as I can.
Right.
Got the little hair in the front.
Little
but
hair in the
don't
front.
have the long hair yet, but got the toothpick and the sunglasses. So
Yeah, look good.
and what else we got? We got the Inner Circle in AEW is broken apart, and now we have the Jericho
That's right.
Appreciation Society,
Interesting.
in which he is trademark sports entertainer to take a jab at Vince.
Yeah.
And WrestleMania.
That's one way to interpret it, man. I got some other feelings about Jericho bringing that to the world of AEW, but we'll save that for a little bit later.
Save that for later.
So, go ahead, Tom. I know you wanted to get into it with Scott Hall.
I think, yeah, Scott Hall is the best way to open up the show.
Sure.
I would want to say he has probably been one of our probably influential to us growing up watching wrestling.
Sure.
I mean, we had the NWO, we had Razor Ramon. I mean, he was cool.
He was.
And he was something else. I mean, for me, like I was talking to my brother Art about him too, and it's just kind of funny where it's like he was one of the best ever to never win the title.
Well, Intercontinental never
Well, never won the
champion.
championship in
Yeah.
WCW or WWE.
Yeah.
And he was one of the biggest guys in the early 90s in WWE as Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
So
You know what? And it's interesting. So Razor Ramon, the whole character, right, is based off Scarface.
Yeah.
Cuban guy, but Vince, again, with his imaginations, he's a white guy with brown curly hair. Like, you know what? Let's dye your hair black and do your best Scarface impression, and we're gonna roll with that. And he nailed it. So much so that I would have never known that he wasn't a Cuban guy.
Right.
And I was too young to enjoy Scarface when it first came out, but later in life, I'm like, holy crap, that's where it's from. And I loved the character. I loved the vignettes when he was first starting out, and they showed him just like in the Scarface car, the big Cadillac or whatever down in Miami, Florida or whatever, talking about his oozing machismo and all this stuff and just being cool and flicking the toothpick at people. And yeah, he had the cool music, the slow walk, the gold chains. He was like
the hairy chest. I mean, he was a guy who didn't strip it down, or didn't wax up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was great in the ring. He had tremendous rivalries with, good friends. Shawn Michaels, one of the first ladder matches, at least televised ladder matches, classic matches. But, I didn't watch a lot of WCW, but one of maybe it was a Saturday night or Saturday morning. I think everything was pre-recorded at the time anyways. But I remember watching like, holy, is that who I think it is in the background? Like walking through the crowd, when he left WWE and went to WCW, and who I am, but you don't know why I'm here.
right.
Still in character. Couldn't call himself Razor Ramon.
Right.
He was Scott Hall, and he never moved from that Razor character though.
Right.
He kind of kept that.
He still kept
character.
that talk and accent because, like, even like before when he was a tag team partner with Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, he used to be this big, giant, ripped guy.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of funny when you see like his early career towards later in career, like a lot of guys, they do the opposite in their size.
Yeah.
He went the other way where he
Yeah.
lost a ton of weight. And it was just kind of funny. It was like looking back at some of his old footage, like him and Kevin Nash actually tag team in WCW a while ago, where Kevin Nash was Oz, the Wizard Oz.
Yes.
And it
Yeah.
was just kind of funny. It's like, oh wow, like they've always been together in a way. And
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like his "Hey Yo," the "Too Sweet" that he would always do.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was. I think for me growing up as a kid, like I had a friend, Mariah, where she would wear his shirt every day for like 3 years. And now I think that shirt, even before he died, was like worth $800 on eBay.
Jeez.
But I mean, yeah, as a Razor Ramon shirt, he was a cult personality for WWE so much that when he left, they had the fake Razor and the fake Diesel. That didn't go over so well.
Yeah, no.
But
The fake Diesel ended up being Kane,
Yeah,
I
I
believe,
believe so,
right? The Kane as we know him today. But yeah, and speaking of that, I was reading a little bit, and the Undertaker actually credits Scott Hall as someone who showed him the ropes over in Japan. And that so he's not only made an impact on someone who is arguably the best character to ever be in professional wrestling, the longest tenured wrestler, most respected wrestler out of most of them, but also bringing the coolness to wrestling.
Right.
You
and
know,
he helped Hogan
Mhm.
with his whole transition from this good guy for
Yeah.
most of his life to teach him how to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
And that was one of the best moments ever in wrestling. I mean, that nostalgia where, we didn't have the internet to give us the dirt sheets, what's going on. And
Yeah.
always guessing what's really going on. Like, is he still part of WWE? Are they invading? Or
Yeah. That storyline was amazing. And even to have Medusa, come later. I think she came after that and dropped the WWE women's title into trash can, just as a slap in the face to that company. It really, without what led to the Monday Night Wars, which was all really initiated by Scott Hall and Kevin Nash coming over, and Eric Bischoff he's a genius. He's a
controversy creates cash.
Yeah, he's a not to the level of Vince McMahon, but he gave him a run for his money for 83 weeks or something
83
like
weeks.
that.
Well, he's got a podcast named after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But when wrestling was going kind of cornball, right? The WWE was super gimmicky,
Right.
And it was kind of definitely prior to the Attitude Era, very PG and very clownish, like literally clowns wrestling.
Literally, there was.
In WCW,
There's Doink.
WCW, had which I thought was corny at the time as a kid. Like, you got a guy named Brian Jacobson or something, like just their regular names, just in plain garb, like no real character to them. They all looked like jobbers to me.
Yeah.
But then the legitimacy came because here comes Razor Ramon, here comes Kevin Nash. They're bringing a cool element to it, and then the ultimate slap in the face to everyone who's been saying their prayers and eating their vitamins. They turn Hulk Hogan bad, and create the NWO, which was the turning point in wrestling, led to the Attitude Era, led to Degeneration X. That was their buddies, right? So they had the NWO that they formed WCW, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels did the same thing, called it DX. And they, the four of those guys changed the face of wrestling.
X-Pac and Strong Waltman, Six Pac, whatever you want to call him, going back and forth between DX and NWO. 1, 2, 3 kid.
1, 2, 3 kid.
Hey, he's credited for the launch of his career. Very awkward pinning position, right? 1, 2, 3 kid does a backflip off the top ropes, and his head is literally in his crotch. But 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 kid wins. That's why they called him the 1, 2, 3 kid,
because
he was Lightning Kid or something. But he beat Scott Hall in Monday Night Raw. Yeah, put him over, and that was the launch of his career. So, like, really thinking back retrospectively on what his impact was, wrestling today wouldn't be the same without Scott Hall.
And I don't even think when he invaded WCW that night, if they started with Kevin Nash overhaul, I don't know if I would have been as interested.
Nope. So Kevin Nash, his character, Big Daddy Cool, a little too cool, a little too laid back. He didn't have the edge. He needed the mouthpiece. He needed the guy to flick the toothpick in someone's face and do the whole like, "Ooh, you're scared of me" crap. Because Kevin Nash, just a big guy. Not a whole lot of
the Super Shredder.
Yeah, but not a whole lot of
Mhm.
character really there, right?
Right.
He's just the big guy.
Yeah, you learned what Scott Hall did is he was like the first bad guy you loved. You were like,
Right.
oh, I hate him, but I can't get enough of him. Ah, you know.
It's like,
Yeah.
I remember I would watch his matches, and I mean, yeah, he had the similar like 5 Deaths of Doom kind of move set, whatever.
Yeah.
But like I would always watch his matches. But like Kevin Nash, I'd turn it off. Like it's the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again. I'm sorry, it's the same thing that I don't like watching over and over
Yeah,
again.
right.
Because I know like there's a lot of guys like Brian Danielson, Bret Hart that kind of do the same stuff over.
Yeah.
But I like that stuff because I mean there is kind of like the story to what they're doing
hmm
and the method to it. While some other guys, it's just like,
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to the Scarface movie and where he adopted his character. So even in that movie, if you ever seen Scarface, the
Yeah.
movie Al Pacino.
Yep.
So he's not a good guy,
No.
right?
Mhm.
But you pull for him in the movie.
Mhm.
You want him to beat the other drug lord.
Right.
You know, he's a drug dealing, murdering refugee
Mhm.
from Cuba, right? It calls himself the bad guy,
Right.
but he's really the good guy in the story, which is wild concept. But at the end of the movie, you don't want him to die. You want him to
Overcome.
to overcome,
Right.
which was the same deal with Razor Ramon's character. You know,
And even in
he
his life
embodied
in
it so
general,
much.
too,
It was like, yeah,
with his personal demons he was battling, got his life back on track, and
Yep.
it looks like his kid's going to be a wrestler one day, and like it's just
Yeah.
This is how it ended: just 3 heart attacks and a blood clot.
It's crazy. So the tragedy of the story all actually started back in 1984, though,
Mhm.
when he killed someone in self-defense,
Mhm.
right? So he was, having a relationship with someone else's girl, and
Mhm.
the guy tried to take him out for it, and he had to turn the gun on that guy. But
Mhm.
it was that event that led him to his future alcoholism and
Mhm.
drug abuse,
Mhm.
because he just could
That's how
not
he had to deal with it.
even his latest interviews and,
Mhm.
and TV programming and stuff. He references that as being the, what led to
Mhm.
down the path of the demons. And, the wrestling industry is a lot different than it was then back in
Right.
the day too. There was a lot more drugs and a
A
lot
lot
more
more partying and,
painkillers, a lot of partying,
Rock
drinking.
and roll life, baby.
No
Yeah.
testing and
Yeah. So, working out and taking steroids and doing God knows what else.
Who knows? I mean, Ric Flair says the same thing. He's like, hey, I drink two cases of beer every day, go out and wrestle, come back and drink another one.
Yeah. You get put on the road for 320 days a year, and
Yeah.
you're injured, and you just need to do whatever you can to push through.
Push
You got a
through the next
wife and
match, yeah.
kids at home
That's
who
it.
you don't even know. You just kind of muscle through and put on the show after show. So it's really not surprising that some of these wrestlers' lives has turned out the way that they have, just based on what they had to put themselves through.
Yeah.
But it's a shame. And rest in peace, Scott Hall. And actually, so my little trip to Tampa, I was at Hogan's Beach Shop.
Hogan's
And-
Beach Shop.
So you got to talk about that. You got to show the
I'm
bag
going to
and
talk
all
about that.
All right.
So, I've been there before. Hogan's Beach Shop. It's cool. There's life-size, statues of him. Take pictures, and you can see all of his. He's got
Nice
autograph-
ones too. You sent that picture. I thought it was a dude standing behind you.
Yeah.
I was like, man,
Yeah.
well, he looks pretty good, but his arms are too ripped.
The cashier there, she said he's in there, 2 or 3 times a week. His restaurant's right down the street
Right.
too,
Right.
Hogan's Hangout. So he definitely checks in, and
Usually
he
they're, like,
lives
on
in
Monday
Tampa. So there's opportunities to get
Mhm.
autographs, all sorts of pictures. And in my office on
Mhm.
Green Street,
That's
there's a autograph picture of him giving Ultimate Warrior the big boot at WrestleMania 6, and that's pretty cool. But I was looking around, I'm like, you know what? You know who would appreciate some
No.
NWO wristbands from
man.
yeah.
Thank
Look at that.
the
Look at that.
Own little NWO 3-person click over there.
Nice.
Hey.
Oh,
Bill
yeah.
Kent as the third man.
For life.
Just too sweet.
For life.
Yeah,
baby.
too sweet.
More life.
So, anyways, a little something you can keep the Hulk Hogan bag too. Figure out what you want to do with it.
Put it on right now.
That is
I put my action figures in here.
There you go.
There you go.
Go. Carrying him in his lunchbox.
There you go. So it's our second or third time visiting the beach shop down there, Clearwater, and It's in
Thanks,
Clearwater.
brother. Yeah.
And it's Clearwater is our favorite spot. I think the last time we did the show was on Dawn's show prior, and someone asked me if you can go anywhere in the world, where would it be? And I'm like, yeah, I just really love Florida, to be honest. So, I
there's something about it too. I love
we'll
it.
find ourselves there. I just really love the area.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that it's a big wrestling community down there too. So it's
that's most of the homes are down there too.
Ric Flair lives there now too. Then that's pretty cool. I was
Yeah.
hoping to run into him, but anyhow, they just got Hulk Hogan matches on all the television screens.
That's awesome.
And everything's got their authentication little sticker on it and stuff, and nothing's inexpensive there, but it's that's why you're going there. You're going there to
You
get
had a
cool
good
shit.
breakfast burrito.
Yeah. So the cool thing is, a little shout out to Hogan's Hangout. They open at 7 a.m. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. 7 days a week.
Wow.
And they have an upstairs patio area, which is great. The Clearwater Beach is a 2-minute walk. Pier 60, which is the big pier in Clearwater, is literally like a 5-minute walk down the street. Nice. It's awesome, and it's only a few doors down from the Hogan's Beach Shop too. So it's pretty cool. Great location. We had a great time. The food was good.
Always want to go there. I gotta get there someday.
That's what we
drove down there, right?
We drove down there. Now, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Actually 2018. This was 4 years ago. We flew down there for something else and came back. Phil Pace, Phil Pace. Yep. So me and him were buddies, and we shared an office together. And he's always was the Hulk Hogan to my Macho Man, right?
Okay.
And so I came back with the Hulkamania shirt and bandana and stuff for him, and it's just like, you got to go there. I forgot it was there when we were there. I'm like, holy crap, we're in Clearwater Beach. Where Googled it. Where's Hogan's Beach Shop? 5-minute walk. Sweet.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anyways, enough about that. There's a lot to talk about. What do you want to talk about next?
All right. So after that, we had Tony Khan purchased Ring of Honor. Supposedly outbid Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Maybe paid a little too much, according to the rumors. But
what was the price?
Was it 40 million? I think he's
$40 is too much for me.
Yeah, right.
But the rumors is like AEW is going to get a streaming service with HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
So they may be doing similar to what WWE is doing with Peacock Network, where you can start watching their pay-per-views on there, as well as their library, and now Ring of Honor's library, which would be huge because you got a bunch of former wrestlers: Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Kevin Owens,
Samoa Joe.
I mean, a bunch of those big names right now.
Yeah.
You could see them early in their careers and when they were wrestling each other back then. And I mean, it's just, and two, he's also said like he's going to still air their stuff weekly. And with their overfilled roster, that could be a good thing for some of these younger guys to work with older veterans that aren't getting TV time. Kind of give them the kind of like the NXT version.
So, the part of me thinks it's Vince McMahon's mastermind again that's put out a number just to try to drain Tony Khan's bank account as much as he can. And I know he's a billionaire or whatever. I don't see why the hell Vince McMahon would want anything to do with the Ring of Honor catalog. He probably had plenty of opportunities to purchase it in the past. He bought his biggest competitor in WCW, which was likely way more expensive than what a Ring of Honor catalog would be. He's got his own Ring of Honor catalog because he's employed all of those wrestlers, and they probably had, I wouldn't even know Ring of Honor, to be honest, without WWE. I would not know any of those wrestlers were in Ring of Honor until they left WWE, and everyone's like, they were in Ring of Honor. They're Ring of Honor wrestlers because no one wants to give WWE credit for actually making these people into superstars that we know today. I don't know. I'm not interested in Ring of Honor wrestling. Definitely not looking back on some indie wrestling, low budget type of stuff. I don't know. I don't think it was a good move unless they're bringing it as a separate brand to be a developmental.
That's what it sounds like it's going to be. It's like their NXT.
Yeah.
I know Vince tried to buy Impact just for their library a few years ago when they were having their money issues.
Yeah.
and they just couldn't work out a deal with that. But
Yep. So AEW's roster is bloated with
Very.
talent that needs to be put off on a lower grade show, which Rampage is kind of being that
Right.
show right now. And,
Friday late at night, right after SmackDown. And
yeah, it's just not a good time slot. It's only an hour.
and usually their first match is the best match, and after
Yep.
that, it's kind of
bedtime.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan, and I agree. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you watch the first match, and it's like, okay,
You know what's cool? And I discovered on Roku TV. It's like, you go to Walmart anywhere and buy these smart TVs. They're all Roku brand.
Yeah.
They have their own streaming television, Roku TV. It's called.
okay.
And they have an Impact Wrestling channel.
Oh, really?
24 hours a day, Impact Wrestling. Their recent pay-per-views.
Mhm.
They also have just like an independent wrestling channel where you can see these other I forget all these letters from all these different federations all over the place, but you can see all that stuff for free too. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, check it out. I've been watching it. It's really,
There's some bad things and there's some good ones. Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely. Anyways, the Ring of Honor thing, wasn't too excited, and it wasn't really excited for the Jeff Hardy coming over to AEW either.
Yeah.
Well, I got a kick out of that where his brother's getting the crap beat out of him, and he's dancing to his music.
He's running out to save his brother, and he stops to dance.
That cracked me up. But,
Wasn't a good.
with my brothers, I'd probably do the same thing. If my theme song hit, I'd be dancing to that before rescuing them.
Maybe it was spoiled because we kind of knew it was happening anyways, that he was going there. But honestly, even in WWE, I wasn't like super thrilled to see a Jeff Hardy match. So him, not anymore.
Right.
We want to go back to 1997, 98, 2000, WrestleMania 2000, the ladder matches with Dudley Boys and Edge and Christian. We were talking about some. Even we talked about Undertaker and Jeff Hardy matches and things like that when he was becoming champion. Great stuff. I don't know. Past couple years, whether WWE didn't book him correctly, whatever. I'm just not excited to see him and Matt Hardy, who looks like he can barely walk.
Right.
Yeah, Matt's in bad shape.
Yeah.
And they're almost in the exact same outfits from when they started their careers too.
I mean, they literally are in this. I mean, just about right. They got the same music.
Same music. Yeah.
Grunge, the grunge look is out. I think.
So
that's what you wore in high school. Ain't it? You were a grunge guy.
Yeah, there you go. So that's one of the things, right?
I'm wearing the same stuff as high school. Wrestling t-shirts.
That's it. That's it.
So AEW fans, not all of them, but the ones that want to argue with me on Twitter about it are like, AEW is where wrestlers go to become professional wrestlers. So tell me how the Hardy Boys are any different than what they've done in the past. Tell me how Keith Lee is doing anything different than what he's did in NXT, or Daniel Bryan. They're identical matches to what they've always done. There's nothing different. The exception is they're wrestling people I've never heard of in my life. So it's even less interesting.
Well, it's that. I mean, it's more wrestling, less talking. I mean, occasionally they'll have a few guys who can actually talk and go at it. But for most part, I mean, it's actually, if you enjoy watching wrestling, watch AEW. If you want to be entertained, watch WWE.
I don't know, dude. I got to call BS on that because it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing.
Oh, it's not.
It is though. It's totally the same. So maybe the reason why people aren't talking that much is because they're just not good enough to talk. They don't have that. So the people that are talking are Chris Jericho, CM Punk, MJF. Like, they're good on the mic. The rest of the guys, the reason why they couldn't cut it in WWE is because they have no voice.
Right.
So they have to have that.
And that's where they have the veteran wrestlers like Jake the Snake kind of.
Sure. They have all these mentors and stuff. People talk.
And I kind of like that. And they have the factions, which we like the factions.
Right.
And we wish there was more in WWE with that.
Yeah. The factions would be terrific. But having someone else speak for you does not negate speaking being done. Right. It's just being done by somebody else. But when they get in the ring, it's the same stuff that WWE does with more botches.
Yeah.
Bad camera shots.
Whatever. And I know WWE, every Impact, it's a different angle. Right. You know, so I understand how it works. The magic of the camera. I'm sure there's plenty of botches that we don't witness in WWE. You can certainly see it if you go and watch it.
Camera take and
of course
they stay on that camera a little too long, and there you see it.
So this whole thing though leads me to my Chris Jericho thing. So Chris Jericho gets on the mic got his new faction, his new group, the Jericho Appreciation Society, right? And again, he's the only one talking because no one else can.
Right.
That's why Jack Swagger's behind him because he never could talk.
Right.
He's got a lisp or
the
whatever.
lisp,
Yeah. But he brings to the table, Kent, and I don't know if you saw this, Chris Jericho says, we are sports entertainers. We're not professional wrestlers.
Yeah.
So AEW's whole thing is they're professional wrestlers, not sports entertainers. Right. You interpret it as a dig at WWE.
I interpret it as because Jericho filed a trademark for it to prevent Vince from getting that term.
Sure.
So he's going to use it to his advantage and try to create the heel heat with the AEW marks and whatnot. And no matter what Jericho does, I'm going to love what he does.
So to me, he's got 5 guys with him.
Right.
And they're all like, yeah, we're sports entertainers. So where does that end? Remember NWO started with 3 guys and then the whole thing was NWO. To me, it's the introduction of the sports entertainer to AEW because they've onboarded so many sports entertainers as bad as they want to be professional wrestlers.
Quote, unquote.
They have no choice but to do this because they cannot be known as professional wrestling when no one in neither actually does wrestling. No one's a professional wrestler, right? They're all sports entertainers, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So it's, to me, he's introducing the term that's just going to bridge the gap. We are what we are. We are them. We have to be WWE as much as we want to be our own thing. Because if we're not, who are we competing with? We're never going to be as successful because we can keep falling back on, well, we're not as successful because we're professional wrestlers. Not sports entertainers. People want to be entertained. Right. That's the reason why you watch AEW. So it's the same thing. Call it what you want. Whatever. It's all sports entertainment to me, whether it's AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, or WWE.
Right.
So there's one belt these guys all dreamed of holding, and it was not the AEW championship.
Yeah, it wasn't the WWE current championship. It was the Wayne Dinkel belt.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's that big red
the
WWF,
the World Wrestling Entertainment Heavyweight Championship belt is what everyone dreamed to hold.
Right.
Not the TNT championship with AEW. Maybe even the Intercontinental Championship from WWE because
I used to
pretty
want that
sweet.
one.
That was Ultimate Warrior. That was Mr. Perfect. That was
and then
Bret
they
Hart,
just watered it down.
The Miz.
Yeah, the TV title was always good. USA title was always good. Red, white, and blue.
Yeah. John Cena bastardized that though with the spinning one. I hated it.
Yeah,
no, that was.
Oh, he screwed up all the titles. After that, all the titles just went to crap.
Yeah.
Speaking of that though, so also some undercard things that have happened since our last show is Finn Balor became the U.S. champion,
right?
And Ricochet had become the Intercontinental champion with a horrible looking belt. I hate it.
Yep. They gotta go back.
They gotta go.
But that's one of the rumors with Cody coming back now to WWE. Yes, he signed. He's going to debut at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Are they waiting too long for that? Probably. But the rumor is he'll probably end up getting that belt back and going back to the original design they used to have.
Yeah.
Because Vince will probably, what Vince is going to do is like, here's our new shiny toy for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then he'll start fading away. And then here's your Stardust costume. You want to put this back on? I see that happening.
That's not going to happen.
I see it happening.
No. So just like Drew McIntyre, right? So these guys leave because they're not over, right? The fans cannot get behind Stardust as a character, and Cody worked his ass off as Stardust. He played that just like his brother Goldust, right? So we forget that part of it. We just like, oh, they slapped a star on your face and called you Stardust. Yeah, because he's the brother of Goldust. They didn't just make this up out of nowhere. It was part of the story angle, right? But when he was, when he had the mask on, when Randy Orton broke his face or broke his nose or whatever, that was a great gimmick for him to be. He did awesome with it.
Yeah.
When Ted DiBiase and Randy Orton were
Legacy,
great work, but always a mid-carder or tag team guy, whatever. So he leaves. Creates his own deal, becomes the heavyweight champion, creates the American Nightmare.
Well, he actually wasn't champion.
Right.
He refused to have the belt.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't watch it. No.
Yeah, see, he refused. Jericho was the first, and then Ambrose.
The playoff.
He had some belt though.
He had the TNT.
The TNT,
Yeah.
whatever.
So to
Okay.
play off his dad, he
They're
goes
Intercontinental.
American Night.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of American Dream, he's
Right.
the
With a
American
nice tattoo
Nightmare.
right on your neck.
Becomes a member of the Bullet Club,
Yeah.
an NWO style
Yeah.
club, right? And he basically reinvented himself into a badass guy, bleached his hair,
Mhm.
became the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. He's not Stardust.
No,
There's
he's
not a wrestler that has come back that has been their shitty gimmick that they were
Mhm.
before and was reintroduced as.
Right.
That doesn't work. Even well, I don't even.
Oh,
have
Blue
other
Blazer
examples.
worked.
Blue Blazer. I mean, the time was different,
Right.
so they needed the Blue Blazer because everybody was in costumes, right?
Well, that was a world
and it was his
of
demise too. that
puppies
was.
and stuff, and they needed a wholesome character back.
Time to play the game!
Oh, yeah. That time of day. It's time to play the game.
It's all about the game.
And how you play it.
It's all about control.
Today, best of, worst of. Razor Ramon. Best match, worst match. In honor of our fallen.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
So,
I think it's
Best
unanimous
match.
for best match.
what was that?
I think it will be unanimous for best match.
The ladder match with
Well,
Shawn Michaels,
WrestleMania
WrestleMania
10,
10.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was his best.
Yeah. Not only was it his best match, but it was a groundbreaking
Mhm.
match. It was one of Shawn Michaels' best matches. You know, the introduction of the ladder
Mhm.
into WWE
Mhm.
ring.
It happened before, but that was the
Right.
prime
But
stage.
yes, it happened before.
Because like
But
Bret and
once it
Michaels
was
used to have
introduced
matches
in
and,
that match,
mhm.
it became a staple
Right.
in WWE
Yeah.
moving forward. You know, so much so Money in the Bank, you know, was a
Came-
thing.
right.
The ladder matches turned into tables, ladders, and chairs.
became a pay-per-view.
Yep. Yeah. So that was definitely a huge impact. And I don't know. I tell you what, I've, moved ladders in and out of my garage, and they're a pain in the ass to just move from here to there.
Yeah.
They're
So
heavy.
true.
They're heavy. They're awkward. If you close your finger in it,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's a
That sucker
pain.
hurts.
You stub your toe on it, whatever. They're
Yeah.
in the way if you don't have a proper area for them. So trying to be, a 6 foot, 250-pound wrestler jumping off ring ropes and running back and forth,
And those aren't soft either.
getting
No.
smacked in the face, or I go up 2 or 3 stairs and it starts to shake on me a little bit.
Right.
I couldn't imagine a
Right.
20-foot ladder
Right.
Mhm.
and then jumping off the top of the damn thing through
Right.
another ladder, or letting someone catapult me into a ladder, or
Right.
all the
Mhm.
weird things they've done with it. That
And now
match,
being power bombed through the ladders.
right?
Just-
That match, though, that again, another changed landscape of
Mhm.
what
It
we
did.
knew wrestling to be, because then ECW followed all the
Mhm.
weapons and everything.
Yeah.
With no ladder, there's no chairs,
Right.
there's no chairs, there's no tables, there's no TLC match.
We always had the Spanish announce table.
Yes, the Spanish announce table. Yes, that was awesome.
Worst
match.
This worst one. I would agree that WrestleMania 10, that was, you go back and watch that, it still takes your breath away.
Yeah,
No,
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
That was
It's
the best
funny. We
match
say
of the night.
WrestleMania 10, and all I can think about is Owen Hart having a booger in his nose. He totally had a booger in his nose at the end while he's like, when he beat Brett.
He beat Brett in the
He
beginning.
beat
Yeah.
Brett and he had a booger in his nose. Anyways,
Now I gotta go
So
back
the
and watch
booger
it.
and the ladder,
Right.
great WrestleMania.
Unbelievable. Worst one.
I was very uncomfortable in the WCW days when they used his drinking as part of a storyline. And you knew he had a problem or whatever, and they'd have him like do his fake drunk act
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
go to the ring, and I just
That was a weird
I don't
time,
remember the
wasn't it?
exact match he was going against. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was like Sting or someone where they just kind of like, no, I'm not doing this, or Jeff Jarrett, and
Yeah.
So the problem with that storyline was that
very bad.
it was a very bad taste, but also some wrestlers refused to perform unless they were allowed certain things. Jake
Right.
the Snake revealed that he wasn't going out in later in his career unless he had coke or crack or something like that. He just was not going to do it. And he was such an alcoholic, like he was going to be drunk anyways. So it's just like, let's put a drink in his hand and let's work with what he's giving us. Unfortunately, if you've Googled or watched the downfall of Scott Hall, there's an untelevised match where he's just a guest. You know, he's already been retired or whatever, and he's just doing these shows on the side where he is so plastered. He comes out, he tries to, you know, the guy's trying to work with him in an indie type of wrestling match, and he's just like stumbling all over. It's actually worse than Jeff Hardy's downfall against Sting
and TNA,
where he was just out of it. Like he's literally can barely stand, you know. And here the small crowd that it was is expecting Scott Hall, Razor Ramon to come out and do his thing, and the guy could barely walk into the ring. So if you've never Googled it, when you say worst match, I've seen this match. Definitely the worst untelevised match, but I would agree most of his WCW stuff outside of his initial push with the NWO and the first storylines with the three of them, once it became too big for everybody, and any match he was in was pretty bad. He had a WrestleMania match when they came back. I think it was against
the Stone Cold.
That
was his last WrestleMania match.
Yeah, too. And it wasn't good. So yeah, once that alcohol demon takes him over, it's all downhill from there.
Too, like, and I was talking to my brother Art about this with Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. Like, yeah, his best matches was when he was Razor Ramon against Brett, against Shawn Michaels, against 1-2-3 Kid.
Yep.
And like when he went to WCW, when he formed the Outsiders tag team with Kevin Nash, they were okay matches, but like his singles ones just weren't that good.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could just see the downfall in his career.
Yeah.
And what it shocked me is we were trying to even think, like, how many title shots did he actually have in his career? I remember against Brett at the Royal Rumble.
Heavyweight championship.
It was Brett against Brett at the Royal Rumble and Sting in WCW once. It was like he only had like 2 or 3.
He's just never going to be the guy that they could trust.
Could carry it.
Yeah. So,
but I would preferred him as a champ over Kevin Nash. But Kevin Nash was I think, actually the lowest rated champion.
Yeah, he beat Bob Backlund.
8 seconds.
Yeah, in 8 seconds. Like, what the hell is that? You know,
Bart had like a 30-minute match against Bob, and here, Kevin Nash kicks him in the gut, and
how the hell does Bob Backlund beat Bret Hart?
Right.
I mean, come on.
Well, Owen threw the towel.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forget that I'm talking to the encyclopedia of all wrestling matches.
That was where Backlund lost his title with his manager throwing a towel in on him.
Got it.
And so he wanted his title rematch, and Brett was the one to give him the title rematch after 10 years or whatever it was since he lost the title. And they had the towel match, in which then Owen pleaded and begged his mom to save Brett and just throw the title in when he was in the crossface chicken wing.
Oh yeah,
and
that's right, the chicken wing.
The crossface chicken wing.
That is not a fun move to be in.
No,
it hurts and works.
Yeah,
when you play it right.
Yeah, most wrestling moves are gonna hurt.
They're gonna hurt.
Right. The thing about it is, the wrestlers, they're so devastating, the moves that they get put in, that they don't realize that they have a free arm over here,
right,
or a free leg over here, or that they could just roll over and like put up a fight.
Right. Because I remember I'm trying to put like sharpshooters on my friends. I'm like, well, Brett just does this and it's done.
Yeah.
Like, why are you fighting me? Stop it.
Right. Stop fighting.
Well,
could you imagine fighting again, 250-pound all muscle guy?
Yeah. Well, when Bob Backlund was the champ, right? Half the match was twisting the guy's arm.
Right. Headlock. Arm
Give me a wrist.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he,
wrist lock.
Twist it. And you're like, what's it? And just hit him with your other hand.
Right. Like you got 2 legs and an arm.
I'm hurt.
It's amazing.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They're so debilitating. You can't even think straight. You don't even know.
Right.
So easily could get out of everything.
Right.
And I believe, he lost to the Sheik, who then lost to Hogan in the Garden.
In the Garden.
The birth of Hulkamania.
Mm-hmm. Bob Backlund looked like your used car salesman.
He still does. And he's still in great shape.
Right.
He's crazy though. He's like literally like got some screws loose.
Oh really?
He was actually on the WWE, the Hidden Treasures, and even in that show, he's kind of he's wacky.
Yeah. He walks everywhere, squats 500 times a day, I believe. Still,
he's still in ring shape. Never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
There's a lot
And he's
of
got to be
wrestlers
what?
live like
70 something?
that. Gotta be.
He's got to be, right?
Yeah, Hogan's like 70.
But he
right?
held that title for like 28 years. I mean, he held it for a long, long time.
That's San Martino.
No, Backman.
Well, he held it for a while, but I thought San Martino had it the longest.
I don't know. I'll Google it. Let me see.
I think he had like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought I went like San Martino and then Backlund and Hogan until now.
Could you imagine just being so good at your craft that you're just the champion for 20
Forever.
years?
UCLA Bruins.
Most people don't even work at a job that long. And not only are you working somewhere, but you're the best there is at it.
Well over
20
5 years, 2,135 days. Bob Backlund.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You don't see that anymore.
No.
Oh, right now we're seeing it with Roman.
Yeah.
Well, he's at 500 in some days, right?
Yeah, the longest reigning now, and probably hold it for another year until he goes against The Rock at next WrestleMania.
So let's talk WrestleMania a little
right.
bit, right?
Bruno, 2,803 days.
What the heck?
San Martino held just for 7 years, 8 months, and 1 day. Nobody could beat him.
It's crazy. I don't even the math on that is just
What?
like,
Right.
did they take a couple decades off? You know,
Is
like
there no
they
one
didn't-
else?
Right.
Did
They
he
did not
defend
understand
it?
the storyline.
I wonder how many times he defended it.
Right. I don't know.
And that's
Like
where
twice.
Vince, with a lot of WrestleManias, has learned where it's better to have the face, the good guy, chase the title and win it at WrestleMania than
Yeah.
it is to hold on to it and defend it. It just
Mhm.
creates a better story and more magic in the atmosphere and
Yeah.
bigger pump.
Yeah. So WrestleMania, look, I like Roman Reigns.
Mhm. I love Roman
I didn't
now.
like him,
Same
but he's found his niche. He's living, breathing the character that he is, and he's spot on. His promos are great.
Right.
The work he's doing with Brock Lesnar, he's brought out this character in Brock Lesnar that no one even knew existed before.
And we love it.
Funny, he's the face, you know, in the whole thing. He's got his cowboy hat out there, and he's doesn't need Paul Heyman to talk. Now he's not the best promo person out there because he's wrestled for 20 some years, but he's never talked really. He's got a lot better at it. Paul Heyman doing some of his best work, like the way he bows down to Roman Reigns is way over the top than what he even did with Brock.
Right.
And I think it's going to be an epic match. I love what Kevin Owens is doing with Stone Cold Steve Austin right now. I thought the promo he came out. You know what? We're coming back from Tampa.
I wasn't there.
We're coming back from Tampa, drove past the Allstate Arena. I'm like, holy shit. Monday Night Raw is at Allstate Arena. All the trucks were out there. I'm like, I totally forgot. But I'm not driving 18 hours to McHenry and then driving back an hour to the Allstate tonight. We'll catch it on TV. But as soon as that Stone Cold music hit, I was like, son of a bitch. We could be there right now. And then here comes Kevin Owens. Cuts a great promo and then teases again. Stone Cold's music hits again. And the crowd just erupts.
Right.
And he's staring, like waiting for Stone Cold. Then he starts laughing. Got you again. Fooled you twice on it. And I would have been pissed if I was there. But at the same time, had Stone Cold walked out, like that would have been pretty awesome.
Right.
So I love what he's doing. Whatever their interaction is going to be, whether it's moments of Stone Cold stunner here or there and beer flying everywhere. That's what you want to see anyways. And I'm not trying to see an actual wrestling match. There's no way in hell that Stone Cold is beating, look, Stone Cold's still in good shape. Right.
Or he got back in better.
He got back in better shape. But look, he's 30 years older than Kevin Owens, who's an active wrestler right now. Like there is no wrestling match there. That's really not something that's going to happen.
No, it ended quick.
Yeah. So you need the beers, you need the gut kick, you need the stunner, the promo. I'm sure Stone Cold's going to come out and talk his trash to him for a little bit, and then they'll get into it.
Sneak in from behind or something.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. I think Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair is going to be a great match. Charlotte Flair and Ronda is not going to be a great match because Ronda Rousey is not a great wrestler. No. But the whole spectacle of the whole situation is going to be enticing. And then, everything else is kind of like not really sure what we're going to get. That's where the entertainment comes into play, but it'll be a fun 2 nights.
You're not thrilled about Logan Paul and The Miz against the Mysterios?
No, Logan Paul's obviously going to turn on The Miz.
Johnny Knoxville and
Yeah,
against
what's
Sami
that?
Zayn.
I don't know about that.
Nah, that's garbage stuff.
Right.
But
That's
but it's gonna be
It's
entertaining.
entertainment.
It's gonna be entertaining nonetheless, right?
That's
So
filler. Yeah.
that's what, and it is gonna actually be wrestling.
Right.
They are gonna wrestle. But Logan Paul is definitely going to turn his back on The Miz, because even last night, The Miz's promo, whatever, he ripped the mask off Rey Mysterio, which is a no-no, right? It's a huge sign of disrespect for a lucha libre to get his mask taken off. But Miz reveals that Logan Paul is a lifelong Rey Mysterio fan. So I mean, come on, they're setting the table, here for the turn.
Well, you're not supposed to take your helmet off if you're a Mandalorian either.
Is that Star Wars?
Yeah.
All right. I just remember I've never seen any Star Wars.
Oh, you'd love it. No, it's good stuff.
But you've never seen Jurassic Park.
No, I haven't.
What?
Yeah.
No.
That's
How?
what I'm saying.
Never.
It's believable
That's like
that
my
I've
old
never
favorite
seen
time
Star
movie.
Wars. It's unbelievable that
But that's-
anybody in the United States has not, in the world,
Well,
has not seen Jurassic
I
Park.
haven't. None of them, however many there are. have
Sixth
never.
one coming out in June.
Yeah.
Sixth one.
They're epic. But none better than the first. I'll watch the first any day of the week.
I did
Sometimes
like
twice.
World
Is that right?
when World came back.
Yeah.
that
Great
was
movie. Not as good as the first
All
one.
right.
Yep.
Second
Anyhow.
best. That's another
WrestleMania
discussion.
weekend, though, there is
Hall of Fame ceremony.
The Hall of Fame
and
ceremony.
Stand and Deliver or whatever for NXT, their pay-per-view.
So they
So-
got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Will
all
they?
event- all
Will they
jam
do
packed.
anything for? Will they do anything for Scott Hall? I think they'll do a little.
They're
tribute.
talking about maybe a ladder match,
That'd be cool.
maybe for the Intercontinental title, maybe
Yeah, we'll see.
Ricochet is the champ. So I mean, you get him, and I don't know what was the New Day's going against, because I think Xavier's back with Kofi. He was at a house show. I know Big E's out for a while with his neck injury. But they're
Big
going
E
to
might be
Sheamus.
done for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
That's another thing that happened.
Right.
So you get a call
Bad
up from
botch.
NXT and a
Mhm.
bad suplex on the cement.
Ooh,
Right.
that was bad. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
I saw it
Oh my
in
gosh.
like watching it. I was like, oh man, that did not look good. He dropped
Right.
it right on his head.
You know, when
He
he
said
was
the
alone.
vertebrae that was like is
Oh,
one that's not one
yeah.
that heals normally, and he
Okay.
is likely
I
to
was-
be the end of his career.
I was watching it,
Mhm.
and then they and then I went back, and then they slowed it down. I was like, I can't watch that
Right.
again. That
yeah,
was not good.
I mean, that's
Oh.
got to be like,
Oh.
look, so luck is definitely not on your side, but you go from being the world champion a
Right.
few months ago to being forced back in tag team
Mhm.
action,
Right.
and then you're dropped on your head and your career's over. It's
Right.
or potentially over. That's pretty
Yeah.
Yeah,
tough.
A lot of it's technique with the German suplex that would happen, and it's like, I don't know. I just don't like when a smaller guy is doing that to a bigger guy.
He had no
at all.
business doing that to someone who's
Right.
twice his size out on the floor. Like
'Cause
he could have.
Even
tried to
last
put him
week
through a
was
table
Chad
or
Gable
something.
and Otis. Chad Gable's doing a German suplex to Street Profits, and the same thing almost happened there.
Mhm.
And it's just like they got to stop. Like that's
Yeah.
got to be a ban. A smaller guy should not be doing that to a bigger
The only
guy.
person doing German suplexes and looks good doing
Yeah.
it is Brock Lesnar,
Right.
and he's the only
Yeah.
one that should be doing it because he's got the power
Right.
to throw people wherever he wants
Mm-hmm.
to throw them. But yeah, the little guy is picking up a 300-pound
like-
muscle and trying to throw him over his head is not something that he should
Whenever
be
I
doing.
wrestle with my friends or now with my kids, whatever, I always tell them, like, make sure your head's up. Like, do
Mm-hmm.
not go back like that. You got to make sure your head's up. I'm going to teach you how to fall so you don't get
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah,
And like, yeah, and a lot of times, like, I'll hold on to them, like, nope, like, I'm not going to let you crash like that.
yeah,
And then pick them back up, like, then they get their head back upright and then throw them in the couch or whatever. I'm like, okay.
yeah,
Then they like it and it's fun. I'm like, yeah, you got to learn how to fall.
Yep.
But you also have to learn the proper technique of doing it too, and going higher, grabbing a guy.
Mhm.
You always got to be low.
yeah.
But
The other breaking news, though, from Monday Night Raw is Veer Mahan.
yeah, whatever.
He's gonna finally make his Raw debut
Monday
after
after.
WrestleMania.
I don't care.
I don't care either. To be honest, I could care less. I'm like Veer Mahan. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's just the Indian way of saying Vince McMahon.
And he doesn't show up because they didn't have
I
enough
work
time.
for
on
Veer
Monday.
Mahan. Who? Veer Mahan. WWE.
WWE.
Vince. Oh, Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Veer.
Veer Mahan.
Oh,
I'm not excited about that. It's
Not at
super
all.
lame.
That's funny.
Usually the Raw after WrestleMania is the best Raw of the year.
You know what? What made it great in previous years, up until until NXT changed, and I mean changed by like a lot of their superstars just kind of got watered down a little bit. They weren't as exciting anymore as your Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Finn Balor and Becky and Bailey and Sasha and Charlotte, like Alexa, all these people. The Monday after WrestleMania was like, you knew someone was coming up. Even Ember Moon, like all these NXT people, you knew that were ready to take the next step. You knew they were going to show up. Even Ruby Riott and like, you know, they just started showing up. Raw,
especially if they lost
SmackDown.
their title or something like that.
Yeah, you knew it was coming. And then they just kind of settled into, no, the NXT stars are just going to be like the NXT stars, or they gave them a call up and then just crapped on them.
Or give them a weird name like Gunther or Butch.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. I think the Butch thing, I don't understand that because what was his name? Peter Dunne.
Peter
right?
Dunne. Everyone
Peter
knew
Dunne.
him.
Everyone knew him. He was the what was his moniker, his nickname?
Oh crap! I forgot right off the top of my head.
Yeah, I forget too. But he was a badass.
Right.
So not Anyways,
Yeah, it's kind of like they did with Daniel Bryan too. Like when he first started down there, it's like no, people know who he is. Like, don't do it.
Right.
And now they're doing that with him. But
yeah. So, anyways, that was exciting stuff for me. But now I'm not like if Braun Breaker or
yeah,
I'm not excited about any of those guys coming. I would have liked to see Adam Cole actually come up as Adam Cole, like, you know, make a debut and like hear that music hit. And
so that's kind of
like
what you're getting with AEW is you're getting the NXT guys continuing what they're doing in NXT and AEW.
Yeah,
because they weren't going to give anything to them in WWE, just release them and wish them best of luck in their future endeavors.
Yeah, well, so I agree with that, but NXT was developmental, so like allowing them to continue what they were doing while they were in NXT is just simply keeping them in a developmental type of state. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't, it's not equating to me. But anyways,
but they allowed like the women that came up, like when you had Paige and Becky Lynch and Bailey and Charlotte, and Sasha, like they still kept their characters from NXT, but they've evolved over the years.
They did. They've gotten tremendously better at wrestling in general, storytelling, talking. They were stars in NXT that deserved they were deserved to be brought up because they were outshining that they were no longer needed to be into developmental. They should be on Raw and SmackDown. And when they came, they proved it because they fit right in. They were immediately, you know, wrestling each other for championships. They were putting on hell of matches. Old Sami Zayn, I don't like the news. I don't like this version of him. But actually, you know, and actually I'll go back to Asuka and Shinsuke winning the Royal Rumble and just like completely crapping
their
like,
storyline character.
Their storyline. That was like the downfall of the debuts of the NXT people to the main roster. Like you took two undefeated people, or at least Asuka was for a long time, and Shinsuke was awesome, had great matches, and just kind of didn't do anything well with them. So anyways, but yes, traditionally Raw after WrestleMania, huge night. Usually people who've been out with injuries make their return. You get a surprise person here or there. Maybe it's Cody Rhodes, but I feel like Cody's coming next Monday.
More than likely, the way how Seth just started destroying everything. My issue yesterday was Seth's promo and kind of what they did with Brock too on SmackDown Friday. They're recycling with what they did years past. So with Brock's promo on Friday, okay, let's give him a big truck, go destroy something like Stone Cold with the Zamboni.
He looked just
truck.
like Stone Cold.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, okay, I saw this before. You know, what's next? What are they going to do next? And again, bad camera shots where you see Roman's out of the car, the Usos are out of the car, then they do next, taking their back in. Like, there's no glass on them or anything, and then they're fine. And yesterday, as soon as Seth started having his meltdown, I was like, don't do it. It was the Bret Hart promo from back in 1997, almost like 20-something years to the day, where he lost a steel cage match to Psycho Sid for the championship belt.
Yeah.
Where he would then main event against Austin for a championship at WrestleMania 13 in Chicago. It says Sid wins because the Undertaker comes out and costs Brett the match when he was about ready to walk out through the cage door. And he started his whole tirade against Vince and the company, like, this is bull crap, bullshit, and all that other stuff. And started like throwing a hissy fit, which was the start of the Attitude Era.
But let me ask you this. You both got younger kids who watch wrestling. What's their take?
I don't. My kids don't watch it.
They don't watch it with you? All right. So you do.
My daughter does.
What's
My
their
youngest
take on it?
daughter
Are
does.
they, I mean, it's old school, right? It might be a story rewrite from years ago, but what do your kids say? Like, oh shit. Or
Well,
are they
exactly.
like,
so my kids don't know what happened 22
Right.
years ago. So they're seeing it there for their first time right now.
so it's cool to them. They're like, oh man, I can't believe he did that.
Yeah.
You're like,
But
oh.
look, recycling storylines, there's only so many stories.
Oh, right.
Sure.
You can tell. You're talking about a business that's been in business for, well, WWE over 50 years, right? That's a long time.
That's
That's
a
a lot
long
of
time.
storytelling.
Right.
There's always the good guy versus the bad guy. How many times are you gonna have good guy versus bad guy for years and years and years? Well, you know, you've disrespected me. I'm turning my back on you as a tag team. Macho Man, Hulk Hogan turned backs on each other. You know, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty turned backs on each other. Yeah, barbershop. They led to some of the great feuds and storylines, but they need to be recycled because what the hell else are you going to do? There's only so many stories when you're in a world of me versus you.
Right.
Like, what else? What other angles can you take? So, look, Jeff Hardy running down to save Matt Hardy. You can't tell me that he's never had to do that before in his career. You know, and that's how he's introduced and repeat storyline. And oh, shocker. The people that he saved him from are the people that they're going to be wrestling against probably going forward for a while because, of course. So it's not new and refreshing to see the same storyline done with new characters. It's still the same storyline, but it's the way that Seth Rollins is able to put his passion and his spin on it and his tirade and how he leads up to it is what makes it unique. Not everyone can pull off that story, and he's doing a hell of a job with it.
Sure.
Anyways,
Now I know you're a big rock fan, but I mean, do your kids, if you weren't, would your kids get excited about that, or would they be like, "Oh, look, it's Moana"?
my daughter would say, "It's Dwayne Johnson."
Yeah, right. No rock in there.
Yeah, no Rock. She doesn't know The Rock as the wrestler, so
and that's something.
it's
I will say my kids do know him as The Rock because that's the only way I refer him on anything. And
You will refer to him as the Rock, or you're going
But,
to
you know,
pretty
what? She
much.
says Dwayne The Rock
I
Johnson
don't know your
because
role.
that's how everything
Right.
is. And, you know, she knows of him, but to see a match, she would probably doesn't even put two and two together that he was a wrestler.
Right.
She just thinks his name is Dwayne The Rock Johnson because she's 8.
It's like it's like an Italian gangster, Jimmy the Nose, Dwayne the Rock.
Yeah. My son, you know, Gabe, he'd be excited. You know, Sally would be very excited.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Not as excited as me, though. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm looking forward to, and I hope that, you know, he's got one more run in him.
Oh, he
and
does.
I think it's coming.
He's
I don't
best
know.
shape of his life.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I'm like, he could have a couple more runs. The guy's
I don't know what
the guy is a god. Really.
all the
Look at
Zoas
this
that
guy.
he drinks. I don't know what.
But hey, I mean, he's a brilliant businessman. He's hired the right people, but you can put him. You put him in the ring, and you'd never know that he hadn't been there for a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll
just-
see
he's
how
in such
brilliant,
great
though.
shape.
He did buy the XFL.
But he did make the deal with the NFL to make it kind of a developmental and to
Right.
test stuff.
Right. I understand. However,
Right.
he did buy a sinking ship or a ship that
Yeah,
had
but
sank.
he's surrounding himself with brilliant people. I mean, so I mean that's what's winning for him.
Yeah,
And also-
likely he's the money,
That's
not
right.
the brains in that that
Whoever he
outfit.
touches seems to turn to gold.
It does.
Yeah.
So,
It does.
You know, I never thought seeing him sing an Elvis song in the middle of a ring wearing his flashy
yeah.
stuff with his mutton chop
Right.
stuff that he would be singing a soundtrack to a Disney movie
Right.
later on, and arguably one of the best Disney movies
Sounded
that
good.
have ever come out, and
Sounded
best
good.
soundtracks.
Sounded good. Yeah.
Jesus.
And what's funny is like while our show's on now, his show was over on NBC. Just started again last week.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
second season of Young Rock, and
Yeah.
I think tonight's episode, I like what he kind of does is, I mean, yeah, he tells an actual story that came from his life. I mean, some stuff's fibbed or
Interesting
whatever.
thing about that. Love The Rock.
Yeah.
He's my all-time
Mhm.
favorite, becoming my all-time favorite person.
Right?
Never watched the show.
Really?
I haven't seen
Never
it
seen
either.
Young Rock.
Yeah,
There's
I-
something about it that I just
I love it.
don't know if I want to get into that part.
It
of
shows
it.
a lot of the early promotion stuff.
Yeah.
With wrestling, especially with his dad. A lot of his dad, you got like Macho Man in there, Andre the Giant, Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the Wild Samoans, and it's just kind of funny how they're all
Well,
between.
I know it's on Peacock.
It's on Peacock
So-
and Hulu too, but
So,
the
yeah, I
best
might have to
episode
check
I
it
think
out.
was My Day with Andre.
I'll have to check it
You
out.
think that you're better.
Hey,
So,
we are at that time, guys. It's been an hour. Sit here and talk
oh,
all
wow.
night. It went by in a flash. Of course, you've been listening to Let Me Tell You Something, Brother. Come back second and fourth Tuesday. That's when we're here. See you tomorrow morning. Innovative Strategies.